All right, so this is Scorpio, understanding Scorpio, the zodiac Scorpio as a whole. So Scorpio's born out of the eighth house, right? So because it's the eighth zodiac out of the zodiacs, out of the 12 zodiacs. So the eighth house is dealing with intimacy and what you hold deep within. Just dealing with sex, all things taboo, death, transformation, all of this stuff is dealing with the eighth house or what the eighth house represents. So this all represents Scorpio, all of these attribute to the qualities of Scorpio. So the ruling planet of Scorpio is Mars, and Mars is dealing with your passions, intent, willpower. So as you can see, it goes with the eighth house, having passions, intent, willpower, desires based on what's deep inside, based on the dark side of the world, based on the things that are taboo and that are not often talked about, things that you hold intimate with you. And this is how why Scorpios can be very intense, or why people would even think that they're sex addicts, but it's really more of the meaning behind sex. The desire and the passion that drives to sex. It's the drive to that, not really sex itself. If you're looking for more sex addicts, that you're dealing with more like Taurus, Libra type shit. You'll find more and more sex addicts with those fucking alignments, especially Libra with fucking ruling planet Venus. So don't get it twisted. I only say that because my son, well, not only say that, but my son's Scorpio. So that's a misconception on how the people get, but they don't get the deeper side of it. But yeah, the ruling planet of Scorpio is Mars, the feminine side of Mars. So it's more about internalizing passions, desires, intent, willpower, wants, instead of pushing that out. It's taking that in and really holding them in. This is how you get the concept of Scorpios holding grudges for a long time, or being obsessive. That's where those energies come from. So it being having the ruling planet Mars and being from the eighth house, I already kind of showed you how they blend together. You being deep or intimate about all of the taboo, all things mysticism and occult too, because occult really just means what's hidden, what's unseen, and that's the interior. So all things interior is occult. All things that can't be seen, all things taboo falls under the category of occult. So it's not separate from it. What's exalted here is Uranus. So with Uranus being exalted here, Uranus is the planet of individuality, individual purpose, and how like standing out and shit like that. With that being exalted, what a planet being exalted means, it's not at home like Mars is in Scorpio. It's not its own home, but it's like it's going to its best friend's house for a sleepover or some shit like that, like you did when you were little and shit like that. When you that excitement that you would get by going somewhere else, you get a little boost. So even though it's not your native place, you get a little boost whenever you go there. But when a planet's exalted, it gets a little boost, so it's more prominent, but also has the opportunity to overexhaust itself. So you can be too much of an individual, or separate yourself too much. This is how you get those lone wolf Scorpios, those Scorpios that don't come out of their shells, those Scorpios that high. That's where that energy comes from, because Uranus is exalted here. So that leaves that opportunity for that attribute or that side to be overexpressed or exhaust itself. And then you have Venus opposes when it's in Scorpio. So based on what I just talked about, it makes sense, because when you're dealing with what's interior and all the things that are taboo and things that are from within and things that are hidden, when you're dealing with sex, death, transformation, desires, willpower, and intent, and you're focusing all on that, it's hard to relate to others, or it's hard to bring those interior things out on the outside. But when a planet is opposed, or opposes it within a sign, or yeah, when a planet opposes within a sign, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have that ability or that that energy is present. And it just shows that it brings more focus to that because it's opposing. So that's just the things that you're gonna have to work harder against, or those are something that more attention is being brought to because people, places, and things, circumstances are being put within your life that bring focus to that because of its opposition. So that's something that you're gonna notice more. So it doesn't mean that you're not gonna run into a relatable or connectable Scorpio. It just shows that they ran into situations in their life, or likely to run into situations in their life, that will force them to learn to pick up those traits, or force them to learn those abilities, or that's what they feel that they lack, or they look, that's how they view the world. You know, everybody's able to connect. You know, you probably get a Scorpio thing, oh, everybody can talk so easily about what it is, or think that everything's so surface level, or think that everybody doesn't look at the darker shit of the world. Everybody's all light and happy, but they don't know about the deeper things. This is the mentality that you can get from that Scorpio energy, because Venus is opposed here. And then the moon falls here. So when a planet is fallen, it's like it's asleep. It's unaware of itself. It's not that it's not present, or that the energies aren't present. They're aren't there or not being active. It's that they're hidden. It's unaware. So with the moon being your emotions and how you receive, your receptibility to things, that fallen in Scorpio means that you can either, it could be overexciting yourself. The moon could be overexciting yourself. The moon can just be chilling, you know, doing its thing, or it can be another chaos. It can be going whatever which way. But it's just the lack of awareness of that going on, which kind of makes sense, because when you're within that realm, sustaining, focusing on those interior things, you kind of close yourself off to all of the other things. Just like how I was saying, like you be looking at or you run into that thought pattern where you would think everybody doesn't see how dark the world is, or everybody thinks it's all surface level, or just looks at the beauty and shit like that. But that kind of mentality will block you from receiving a lot of that energy, receiving the beauty, receiving the love and the connectiveness, because of the unreceptibility, or being unaware of how you receive things, because you're so fixated and stuck on, or thinking about, consumed on all of these interior things, things that you already have, which leads us into it being a water sign, a fixed water sign. Its modality is fixed. There's three modalities: cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Just like how in science or with matter, you would have three states of matter: gas, solid, and liquid. So Scorpio, or fixed water, would be will fall onto the side of solid. So you can look at it as ice, isolated water. And what is water? So you have your right brain, which is creative, intuitiveness, creativity and expression. And then you have your left brain, which is on the analytical, analyzing, and more like thought processes and practical based. So water would fall with on the right side, but it would be the yin attribute of the right brain. So it's taking in the creativities, it's bringing within the self-expression, and bringing within all of the attributes of the right brain. Fire would be the yang. So with it being fixed on that, that's how you get the stubbornness. The Not even stubbornness, because that's two sides of the same. Stubbornness and consistency are two sides of the same coin. They are with along the same spectrum. It's just one is more masculine, one is more feminine, one is more positive and negative. But don't get lost in thinking positive and negative means good and bad. It's just literally just two opposite ends of the spectrum, because some situations require you to be stubborn. In some situations, maybe you're too consistent, or you don't need to be consistent about those things. So that's how it plays out. But um, yeah, that's Scorpio, and because my sun sign is Scorpio, I have a, you know, kind of a deeper understanding of how that works. That obsessive energy, being able to get lost on specific ideas and stuff like that. That's where the concept of holding grudges, and that they'll never forget things that happen to them, or things within their life would stick, like an event that happened or really stick with them, and forcing them to have to transform. Because the ruling planet, I forgot to mention, but it's also Pluto. Pluto and Mars are the ruling planets of Scorpio. But because Pluto is so far, it's more of a cold ruler. Like, it lends some of its attributes, but due to Pluto's travel and how far it's gotten from the solar system, it's not as prominent as Mars. So that's what you would call a cold ruler. And it works the same thing with Aries, the opposite sign, because Scorpio's not the opposite sign to Scorpio, but on the same side, because Aries ruling planet is Mars and Pluto as well, but it's the masculine side. And then Scorpio would be the feminine side of Mars. But both of them have Mars and Pluto. Pluto's a cold ruler for both of them. That's why you'll find a lot of Scorpios in a situation where they would need to transform. So you see, when you have something in your life and you're holding on to that, and that being the one thing that you're fixating on and shit like that, once you let go of something like that, could be a very freeing thing, or a very freeing energy, and that's the transformation. That's Pluto being going at work. That's the things that they focus on, or that's the energy that they receive, and shit like that, which would help other people watching them understand how to transform themselves. But yeah, that's Scorpio in a nutshell.